I just know, like, I cannot have one, and I just keep going, and then I want to call my drug dealer, and then like the birds are chirping because the sun's coming up, and then I'm like, I haven't eaten in a day, and I'm super depressed, and then I wake up and eat a pizza. It's just like this vicious circle. And I'm so great. I mean, I love being sober. I'm so grateful that that's not part of my life anymore.
Take it with you.
Take it with you.
Okay.
I want to hear your amazing voice.
But Emily will interject if like any of us are
acting crazy
or or
too far away from our mics.
Yeah.
Let's hear you talk. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started, Brady.
KTLA
is
in the house.
Intro. She doesn't know the intro.
Yes, it is. KTLA here.
Not you, Shane.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Welcome to the Hopeaholics.
Yes.
Yeah.
How amazing is it? We have Courtney from KTLA.
I know. It's a big deal.
In the house.
Stunningly beautiful.
Right?
First of all. Yes.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. You're made for TV. Hence why, I mean, hello, KTLA.
Hello, yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And you guys are acting like we didn't all just do goat yoga.
I know.
All right, we're friends already. Let's go.
We are.
Let's go. Yeah,
But
we did
Justin's
goat yoga.
today.
Yeah. It was a great time. Thank you for inviting us.
I think I'm still picking some straw. With my
I know.
we all got pooped on.
Yeah, we
did.
But nobody got peed on.
No.
So major positive.
Yeah.
Because I was a little worried about
back
that.
massages from the goat's hoofs.
Yes. So anybody that follows me on Instagram, you know I love me some goats. And today was my first interaction, and they were amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about being sober. You look for other ways to get your highs.
Yeah. No, seriously, it's so true. But speaking of sobriety, because I think that it's amazing in the sense of you are a TV personality, you're married, you're absolutely successful in business, from writing a book to where you are in your career today. And you have 14 years of sobriety. I think that's absolutely amazing. And
2 kids.
Oh my gosh.
They're the blessings that I didn't know that I ever wanted.
Sure.
And now they're 11 and 12.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So you doing it all. And it's the gift.
I have a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I can do a lot of things because I'm not wasting so many hours being messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you wake up and you feel good.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to worry about
in the beginning, though, it feels a little like Groundhog's Day.
Sure.
So if anyone's listening and you're having that feeling, it's like, I know I spent so many hours not present under so many chemicals that when I stopped all of that, the days felt so long and boring.
Yeah.
But that, I promise, goes away.
When was it in the moment for you that you were like, okay, I have to make a change. I need to get sober.
I had a bunch of little gems. I always say, first of all, that I had a 15-year party career.
Sure.
It obviously started off like most people, drinking in high school, and then progressed to ecstasy. Cocaine was a huge part for the last 10 years. And then in the end, it was a bunch of pills, Ambien, Adderall, and Xanax mixed in.
Wow.
And so little things had happened, like I'm paying off a cop in Tijuana because I was doing coke in my car. I'm like falling asleep at my new job in a plate of spaghetti with my dress falling off, and the crew members told on me. But the final straw was seeing a video of myself 2 weeks before my intervention, which I'll also mention. I was on the LIRR train coming back from a party in the Hamptons, and it was only 8:00 at night. And I had been drinking vodka Red Bulls, doing coke all day. I was just so messed up. And I decided to put my strapless bra on my head because I thought I was a pageant winner. And my girlfriend next to me was interviewing me about winning the pageant. And this was all in a blackout, by the way. So I was sent this video 2 weeks later, and I was just horrified because it was the people who were behind me and next to me looking at me with such disgust and seeing my own behavior. I mean, I was like flopping all over the place. My eyes were like crossed. I was slurring. I was snorting. I had blueberry pie smashed into my hair because I had put it on myself at the party that I was at. And I had taken all these pills because that's what I was starting to do, like take an Ambien and then go out to the club. And I was living in this constant blackout. And I was also working at Fox News Channel at the time. So
Wow.
I kind of had this fear that I was going to get caught buying coke from a shady drug dealer, and then I would lose my job. But after seeing that video, I was thinking, all right, I'm probably going to have to wrap this up soon. And then it was 2 weeks later, I had taken a bunch of pills. My friends couldn't wake me up. We were down in Florida, and 7 people the next day came up, surrounded my bed, and talked me into going to rehab. And I knew, thankfully, even though I was incredibly hungover, that it would be the best decision I would make, that I had more to offer this world. Yeah.
Were you already married?
Yeah, so that was with my first husband, and he came up that morning and was like, if you don't go to rehab, we're getting divorced. And I was like, F you. And then he brought up the rest of the people.
Oh, wow.
But because of working a program, and at 5 years sober when I got divorced, it's been such a civil situation, and like I'm good friends and work with my sister wife, as I call her, my ex-husband's wife.
Oh, wow.
I'm remarried to a sober man, and this will be the 5th year we all do matching Christmas pajamas together, all 6 of us.
That is cool.
And I still love
you.
my ex-mother-in-law and his family, and we all, it's like, I always say it was a love story divorce.
Sure.
Because so many divorces are horrendous.
Yeah.
And everyone is civil and friends, and it's amazing. So I realized that I was with my first husband for 12 years, and we have an amazing son and daughter together. Like, that was our purpose. And they just have 4 parents who love them so much.
That is awesome.
I mean, that's great for the kids.
Great for the kids.
Because you hear
That's
a lot of
nice
the time
story.
divorce and stories is.
But where do you hear these divorce stories? Because when do you hear them in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous? Because I have a very similar story to
Yeah,
them.
I was going to mention that.
I feel like most people in AA get divorced.
They get divorced, yeah. But my wife works. I mean, my ex-wife works 2 doors down, and her and my current wife are friends. I don't like to get them in the same room because then they just pick on me and point out all the, all my little quirks
Character
that they
defects.
both, not character defects, but like, the snoring, just the little weird
Annoying
things that
habits.
I do,
I
my
don't-
annoying habits.
That's a rule between my sister wife and I. We have never discussed anything from my relationship or her relationship.
That's smart. That's a good, like, little nice boundary, because then it just gets, I guess, odd.
But I think the media, we tell a lot of stories about crazy divorces and,
Right.
and what
Yeah.
happens.
Absolutely.
It can get really nasty out there.
Mhm. Very. And a lot of divorces are nasty. And you know who suffers, especially when there's children?
Kids.
The children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, plus, if you have I try not to harbor any resentments or any negative feelings. Like, I don't want any bad juju. So I'm going to do what I need to do to get that out of my body, because otherwise it'll cause cancer. It'll cause pain. So for me, one of my things that I love to do is set my phone timer for 20 minutes, and I get out my journal and I rage on the page. And I'm
Oh, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's cool.
I'm like,
We're going to steal
I
that.
hate my boss said he won't he won't put me in that spot, or I don't like that person's scammed me, and it makes me feel this way. And then it's like, okay, what am I learning from this? What was my part in this? What do I want from this situation? And then always come back to gratitude. And I do that for, as long as I need to get over the situation that I'm dealing with, and a lot of times it only takes me like max 4 journal sessions.
Yeah. It's so true. And
Rage
this
on the
is-
page.
I mean, I love that because it is part of,
Yeah.
I work a 12-step program. So it's one of those things that is huge where, I mean, I feel that the rest of the world would benefit off of possibly working a 12 similar type
100%.
program, in the sense of it really
They wouldn't-
requires self-accountability.
Yeah, you wouldn't
Where-
harbor all those resentments.
Well, and not only that, there's a lot of situations that pop up that don't go our way. And once you really put pen to paper, you get it out, whatever, and then you're able to then look at it and then you self-reflect on your part, you know, that's a big deal, because a lot of the times I'm not correct. My behavior is not right, or I approach certain situations that were, you know, either not the right time, whatever it may be, whatever is going on, if it's a business opportunity or something like that, or relationships. So I think that is one of the biggest things that, because my husband is a normie, and that he absolutely loves about the program, is we have to look at ourselves and then make adjustments and then move forward, where we're not casting blame and sitting in a victim role or trying to point fingers at others, even though there will be some situations where the other person might be maybe at fault to a degree, depending on what that's.
Then you just love them.
Yeah.
That's the other part of my journaling. I just send those people good love and well wishes and hope they're happy. And I've had some really strange things happen where the situations have done a 180 turnaround. It's crazy.
Same.
But yeah, that's the difference between like when they say a dry drunk, like someone's working a program or not. And people are resistant a lot of times to do a program, but there's so many benefits if you do it.
For sure.
Right. It's just self-help, you know? And people are resistant to, you know, working, taking a look inward and realizing what their part is in it. And it's really sad because they get stuck in the blame game and they don't get to progress to these next beautiful levels in life that come with working on yourself and having that inner
peace.
Yeah.
They speak victimese.
Yes.
Ooh,
Victimese. Wow, that's
two things we're stealing.
Yeah.
Victimese.
You haven't heard that before?
No. It must be an LA thing.
Yeah,
We're stuck down in
family
here.
members.
Sure.
That speak victimese.
Yeah.
Wow, I like
Well,
that too.
it's super important because we can directly control what we can control, and that is the food that I put into my body, what I'm doing to maintain my sobriety, my inner peace. I can't control how you're going to show up, how you're going to act, but I can control how I react. And so I think that's really important, is people taking that accountability and remembering what they can control, and you can control yourself.
That's because you have God in your life and you're working a program of love and gratitude. You know, a lot of people think they're broken, but they're just unfinished, and they have to add God into their lives. I think.
Yeah.
You know, to complete themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
God is good.
Yeah.
I grew up on God and Jesus. They're my homies.
Yeah.
But I think over the years, I've also just gotten more spiritual, because I feel like all of the religions have, or whether it's AA or yoga, Buddhism, like it all has the same undertones where, guess what? It's not about me. Like, and people who don't want to do AA because they think, oh, it's God, I'm an atheist or whatever. Like, you just believe in not me.
Yes.
I heard that the other day.
As long as you are not running the show.
It's not me. Yeah.
Yes.
Because, I mean, how arrogant or ignorant are you to think like, oh, it's just me? And then also being compassionate to others and being accountable for your actions
and serving others and
It's all about serving.
service.
It's all about serving.
We mentioned it in we do a Recover Out Loud Zoom meeting every week, and it's open. It's not your traditional like AA meeting or anything like that. It's open for everybody because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are suffering and need a place of inspiration and hope. And we talked about it last night, how, because higher power and God came up, and our speaker was fantastic. And it's as long as you don't think that you're running the shit, that's all that matters. Because clearly, like we mentioned it last night, when I'm running the show, I run that bitch into the ground. And then obviously I didn't do a very good job because I wound up in Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm not very good at running the show because that's not where I wanted to go.
What you're doing isn't working.
Yeah, at all.
And also, just go out and look at the ocean or the mountains or
That's
the
it.
sunsets.
It's not that hard.
It's
That
not.
was
Make that your
my
God.
original sponsor said to me. He said, go find a power greater than yourself. He said, go out, stand in the ocean, and let a wave hit you. And if that wave hits you and knocks you down, that's a power greater than you. And I was like, all right, that makes. But I grew up with God and Jesus as well. So like I grew up in a Christian household, so I didn't really. I never really had the struggle to find a higher power. That was pretty easy for me. I was afraid of God when I first got sober and in the program, because my religion was so conservative, and I had done so much bad stuff out there, you know.
But hey, you're offsetting it now,
Oh, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like
and that was just part of your
part of my
purpose,
yeah.
or part of your story.
Gotta have that.
Story.
Gotta have that mess to have that message, right?
That's
that
right.
message of hope that you too can, you know, get clean and sober and live a better life.
Yeah,
For sure.
you are a shining example.
I have some question. I want to go back. So where did you grow up?
I am from outside of Philadelphia, the suburbs. I lived there until I went to my first year of college, but then moved out to Los Angeles in 1999 for my sophomore year. And that's when things really took a turn, because I discovered cocaine and did it every day. I worked at this tanning salon, and our boss would just give us copious amounts of free blow, and he would leave it on a CD, and I would do a line and then get in the tanning bed.
Wow.
I don't know how I was able to remain still in there. So that year I was very skinny and tan. And I got straight A's in school, which was also sort of sad that was the only way I could get straight A's, was being high every day. But that just was a reoccurring drug in my story. And the craziest thing is that I used to be able to find cocaine everywhere, and in 14 years I have never seen it.
Wow.
Never seen it in real life.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so crazy.
That is crazy.
And I hung out with Charlie Sheen one day, and I thought for sure if I was going to see
Sure.
see cocaine, it was going to be then, but I didn't.
It's going to be now. Are you the only child?
I'm the oldest of 3 girls.
Okay.
So yeah, we're all like 2 years apart. And my sister right now, she's still doing dry January.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I had an upper middle class background. Like, my parents are still married today.
Yeah.
And no major like big traumas aside from the bullying thing was kind of why I think that obviously I have the synapses in my brain do not allow me to have one, but I grew up really shy, and I was always bullied by all the girls in the church youth group, like at school, everything. And I just internalized the pain of not being liked, because I had that Jesus mentality, like turn the other cheek. What would Jesus do? And also I knew I wanted to be in news at a very early age. So I was like, success is the best revenge.
Yeah.
And now I totally stand up to bullies. I know that's not the way to approach them, because they just wanted to dig in more because I thought they weren't bothering me. Mm-hmm. So when I was 15 and I discovered alcohol, it made me numb the pain of that. And it also made me come out of my shell. And I was this funny person who all of a sudden had all these party friends and people who wanted to hang out with me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sounds about exactly my story, right? And that just goes. Remember that reel we did with Emily. So it's not environmental.
Oh,
Whether or not addiction and alcoholism is hereditary.
I don't know. I mean, you hear that question get brought up, and I definitely feel, for me, my personal it's just in my genetics. I never got to meet my grandfather on my dad's side. He died when my dad was 16 from cirrhosis of the liver.
Yeah.
And then myself, I'm the youngest of all boys, and we all have the gene.
Yeah, I have alcoholism running through all sides of my family.
Yeah, and I'm Mexican Italian, so I'm like,
yeah, well, they,
doomed.
I don't understand normies and how they can have one glass of wine at dinner. People who don't even finish the wine.
I know.
Like, what's the point of that? Why drink the calories anyway?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a waste.
Fascinating.
It's a waste of calories. It's like you don't really feel anything from like a half a glass of wine
at all.
You know.
I know, it's fascinating.
For me, it was like, not until I got to like 3 or 4, then I was feeling it. Then I opened up. Then I loosened up.
But that's the thing. Normal people, they just want to match the wine with their
palate.
steak.
Exactly. For sure.
I don't even.
I
like
drank
it.
to get drunk.
I didn't
and
like
found
the.
that
I
it
didn't
was
like the
every
taste
night
of wine.
different.
Is the worst to me. I do not like the taste of wine at all. And I ended up having enjoyed beer later on, but I didn't like it for years. I just
liked
pounded it.
Never like alcohol.
I never liked the
enjoyed
taste
it.
of alcohol
Yeah.
either.
Just drank it to get drunk.
Yeah, it had a purpose
Yeah.
for sure.
And thankfully, we don't need it now.
Pure poison.
No.
So,
Not at all.
Poison.
when you were, how did you get in the news business?
I used to watch the news with my dad, Peter Jennings.
Oh my
Right.
gosh! Wow.
He's the only celebrity's death I've
Wow.
ever cried about because it was a sentimental thing. Yeah. And in Philly, Action News there, Channel 6 is really big. And still to this day, it's always on when I go home.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had the opportunity to do some like shadowing of reporters. I mean, from third grade, I always say I knew in third grade.
Wow.
And I was always working at the school paper or doing the morning announcements or shadowing people.
Yeah. And so you knew it at just
Yeah,
pretty much
early
out the
on,
gate,
and just
yeah.
watch. It's funny now. I watch the news significantly less than I used to. It used to be on all the time. I would have a TV in every room, in
Yeah.
the closet, in the bathroom.
So when you worked for Fox News, did you live in New York?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
was there for 5 years, from 2007 to 11,
7 to 11.
and I was there before it kind of became the Fox News
Sure.
that it is today. But hey, they were great when I went to rehab because it was kind of right in the middle of my time there that happened, and they were thankful that I was proactive because
Yeah.
so many people go to rehab after a scandal happens.
Oh,
they
right.
didn't, they're like, thank you so much for not having it be that way.
yeah. And so then
Hey.
after you went to rehab, that was it? No relapses or anything after that?
Yeah. So I mentioned at the beginning of the show, like in 2005, I got this job as the host of the World Poker Tour. And it had been this like crazy audition process. And then the first night we were shooting in Vegas, after the day was over, we all like went out on the town, and it was 4 a.m. and we were back at the Bellagio like crew area you could eat at. And yeah, I mean, I was super sloppy and I passed out in a plate of pasta. My red dress was falling off me, and the crew, the people that saw me, like it was obviously hot gas for them to see the new chick.
Sure.
Like, and they told on me. And then the manager of the show, or the head boss of the show, called my manager, was like, do we have a problem here? And that scared me. So I did do like 9 months on my own without
Sure.
program or
Okay.
anything, just kind of cold turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And I always usually mention that when I share my story, because I did secretly drink in Paris and didn't tell anyone after 2 months and had the worst hangover. And then 7 months later, I drank again in the Bahamas when we were shooting. And then I did have to work, and it was like 3 days of hell. So I just know, like, I cannot have one, and I just keep going. And then I want to call my drug dealer, and then like the birds are chirping because the sun's coming
Yeah.
up. And then I'm like, I haven't eaten in a day, and
Yeah.
I'm super depressed. And then I wake up and eat a pizza. It's
Yep,
just like this
totally.
vicious circle.
Yes.
And I'm so great. I mean, I love being sober. I'm so grateful that that's not part of my life anymore.
Yeah. I mean, damn. I really.
But I went to Silver Hill Rehab in New Canaan, Connecticut, and look, New York was a great place to have my bottom, as far as like, oh my gosh, that's what kind of did it for me. Like the bars were open till 4 a.m. and
Sure.
there were taxis because we didn't have Lyft or Uber back when I was drinking in LA. So suddenly to just not have to worry about drinking and driving, and you can just take taxis, and the drug dealers just come right to you, and you could deliver alcohol, and the shrinks will just give you pills, like, cause you paid them in cash or whatnot. So, it progressed my bottom quickly, but then it's also a great place to get sober.
Yeah.
Cause there's, meetings all over the place.
That's what I do like about AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is that honestly, I have an app on my phone. I could plug in, and whatever city I'm at, there's so many meetings. Like that was my excuse when I first got on the road, because I wasn't I didn't particularly love meetings, but that was my excuse. It's like, I'm out of town. But my sponsor was like, really? Look up right now what AA meetings are going on. And sure enough,
Well,
there's
and how about I think
ton.
the best thing to happen to AA was the pandemic with the Zoom
Sure.
meetings. Like there really is no excuse. There's this one 24-hour women's meeting that you can dip into, and it's people all over the world. At the top of the hour, a new speaker comes on, and it's constant.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
I mean, anyone who's like sort of even struggling or asking, I'm like, hey, just dip in. Don't turn your camera on. Just listen in. See if any of this stuff resonates with you.
Yeah.
That wasn't an option before COVID.
Right. Which is so true.
And I keep meeting people or know people that got clean on the screen. Like they've never actually even been in a real
Wow.
meeting.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a couple on ours who have never been to a meeting before, and they're coming to our Recover Out Loud meeting. We have it on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m.
And it's just on Zoom.
Just on Zoom. Yeah,
Cool.
we're in the studio, and then we bring a guest in, and we have the guest tell their story for 20 minutes, and then we open it up to the Zoom. It's
And
really
they can do
good.
the same thing. They can leave their video off if they want, or they can turn it on. It's totally their preference. And they can either, just listen, or they can, do the in Zoom. You can
Participate,
raise your hand and participate and share whatever it is that's going on at that specific time, and it's cool.
There's even a lot of people, I think that, well, someone asked me to speak at their meeting, and then the leader, like literally throughout the hour progressively was like slurring, and we found out like she was literally drinking. I'm like,
Oh my
that sucks. You asked me to speak
God.
at your meeting. I came to speak, and you're actively drinking. But hey, some are sicker than others.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But you can even if you are drinking and listening, like you're still auditing the meetings.
Sure.
And hopefully the seeds are being planted so
Absolutely.
that whenever the time comes that you are ready to give it up, you'll be like, oh, that's what that person was talking about. I get it now.
Yeah. The only requirement for membership is a desire. It's a desire to stop drinking, Shane, or using if you're in NA.
Desire.
You're being quiet over here.
You know what? I'll tell you something. I'm in a little bit of pain. My shoulder's hurting when I sit
Was
down.
it from goat yoga?
No, it wasn't. I heard it before, and I got
He's
four
been
shots.
struggling,
I've been
yeah.
struggling for 30, 40 days now. What I'm wondering is this. In your business life, when was that minute where you said, wow, Ma, I made it? You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
that's a good question.
For like career wise?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think every time I've gotten a big opportunity, I mean, I remember when I was 16 years old, there was this thing called Channel 1 News. I always said it was the Mickey Mouse Club for journalists.
Oh,
It's where,
wow.
like Anderson Cooper and Lisa Ling.
They all started there.
Yeah, they all
Right,
all
okay.
started there, and I sent in a tape, an audition tape,
Yeah.
and I remember when I got that call that I think that was probably the most exciting call
Sure.
I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
But then obviously knowing when okay, I'm going to Fox News, or when
Yeah.
I got my first job at WBBJ in
Yeah.
Jackson, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Who's your first call? You got the job at WBBJ in Tennessee. Who's your first call? Like, who do you call?
Oh, that was my ex-husband. 'Cause
Okay.
I actually met him. He's a reporter
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I was the scandalous intern,
Yeah.
but he was helpful career.
There
But
we
you know
go.
what, though?
Let's
But that's-
let's hang on a second. Let's stick with the
Wait,
story
but
here
that
for a minute.
literally
Come
makes-
on, it's juicy.
But I feel like when you want to slap a scandal or something,
Yeah.
like that, it not really. It's like, yeah, it makes sense, because if you're working at a place and you're seeing individuals constantly,
yes.
it's like that's why a lot of WWE superstars end up marrying one another.
Yeah.
I mean, one, they are on the road
Yeah.
290 days out of the year, so having a relationship outside of that is very difficult.
Very
But then also too, it's like-minded people that understand the business and what the goal is to accomplish, and I feel like that makes sense.
So wait,
Yeah, I
their
think every
relationships
industry.
are real?
They're the ones that
They're
are
not-
married,
Huh?
not the ones that are on television.
The ones that are married, yeah, like they have
Scripted.
they have some guys
They,
live.
yeah,
They
dude,
have some wrestlers live, like those two twins,
The Bella
the
twins.
Bella twins. They're on TV. They're married.
But they are married.
They are married.
To each other?
Not two. Well,
I'm
other
just
guys.
kidding.
Two other
From the
guys, yeah.
WWE?
No.
no.
Okay.
Oh, one
One
is.
was.
One
what?
is. Yeah,
Daniel
one
Bryan
was.
is not.
Yeah, no more. His
But
back
at the
was
time.
back. He's a little smaller guy too. I was shocked.
Sorry, we're on the topic
Yeah.
of WWE.
No, that's
Yeah.
not
No,
my
That's not-
area.
I'm
No,
like,
no,
that's.
nothing there.
I was
nothing
meaning
there.
in the sense of it makes sense that he was a reporter and you were an intern.
Yeah.
You know.
So KTLA 5. When did that come about in your life? That is huge.
It's huge.
Just to have you here is
Yeah,
so nice.
it's amazing.
Aw.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
We have loyal fans here.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
The Los Angeles area.
Absolutely.
All the way down to here.
Yeah.
Oh no, San Clemente.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be-
Even
because
further.
of
I've
because of
reported in
Megan.
San Clemente. Yeah, we go to Santa Barbara. We go to.
Oh, you guys are all the way up in Santa
Bernardino.
Barbara as well?
Well, they have their own station, but like if a story's big
Sure.
enough,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
we'll
You'll go up
that
there?
far.
What's your most memorable? Maybe not your most. I don't want to put you on the spot, but what's one of the top ones where guys go, "Whoa, that's juicy. That's crazy. Let's go get that." Is it like that kind of thing, or what is it more? Is it
I feel
more
like
you?
it's more traumatic. Like I've been on all the big shootings.
Oh,
and
you
all
have.
Of those
Okay.
Oh,
things.
yeah.
all
But
right,
I've
all
been viral a few times.
Ooh.
Nice.
So that's memorable.
Yeah.
Do you know the little boy that cries when
Oh, I
I
saw
asked,
that
"Are you
on
gonna
your
miss your
page.
mom?"
Yeah.
and then he is like, no.
And he's like,
Then he
no.
realizes he's gonna. It's been a meme for
Yeah.
thousands and thousands.
Okay,
of
I'm gonna
things.
check
Oh
And
my-
you're still friends with
Yeah,
him. You
yeah.
stay
So
in
we
contact
we
with
just
him.
did for the Spy Kids movie. They I think it was Netflix. They asked us to recreate because it was during the actor strike. They couldn't
Yeah.
use actors,
Yeah, of
so they
course.
had us recreate the moment like in our same outfits and everything.
Oh,
So I did a story with little Andrew, who is 13 now, but he was 4. at that time.
Wow.
Nice.
And then I also got asked out while I was covering a wildfire. Some guy who was shirtless with a puppy came up and was on air. Was like, "Well, you're really pretty. Want to go on a date sometime?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I got on
What'd
Jimmy
you say?
Kimmel for that.
What'd you tell him?
I was like, we're live on the air right now for KTLA, actually. But it's amazing how many things in the moment can go through your head. Like, I wanted to be like, oh, can my husband and kids come
Right.
too?
Yeah.
Or I wanted to be like, yeah, get me the F out of here. Like,
Right,
so
right.
many different
And
things.
you're like-
and I'm like, okay, bite your tongue.
Yeah.
Be professional about this.
I know this is a stupid question, but I want to ask it anyways. Have you ever accidentally said a bad word on air?
No,
Never on.
Wow.
I have not.
Wow.
Wow.
No.
That's impressive.
That is.
But I did almost, I mean, I slurred.
Yeah, that's
through
what
a
I was just
news
saying to myself.
cut-in.
She's falling asleep in her fucking spaghetti with her dress falling off. I mean, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
there was one time, and I made a deal with myself that this would never happen again. But I was like doing coke and drinking like crazy until 2 a.m, and I had to get up at 4 a.m. to read the news headlines starting at 6 a.m. Obviously, I was still wasted.
Yeah.
And like I remember getting my makeup done, like pounding water and Tylenol or whatnot, and just like praying, and then going on the set and just being like, "Oh my God, please don't let me be a YouTube moment. Please don't let me."
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
God,
full
right?
on slurring through it, but because it was so early in the morning,
No one caught it.
I know, thankfully. And then I was like, I'm never doing that again.
Right. Oh my gosh. That would be
And I'm just grateful that so many of my antics were before social media.
100. I say that all the time. Not only with the fact of just my nonsense, it's like now you can't escape making a bad decision.
No.
And that's also terrifying for the younger generation. Also, hence, I'm very happy that I'm not in my addiction currently, just with the fentanyl that is going
Oh, yeah.
like rampant. Obviously, people that have been following us know why the Hopeaholics was even created through a tragedy of Chad's son-in-law passing away from fentanyl poisoning. So it's like, I know in my heart, if I was currently in my addiction, I would be dead, because how many times did I just pop a pill that
Right.
somebody gave me? How many times did I go and buy an eight ball and not think twice? How many times was I, you know what I'm saying? Just like little things
yeah,
that
I
you're
would
not
be
really.
so scared to be
Oh
doing
my-
drugs these
It's,
days.
it's so scary.
And the amount is
It's
a
nothing.
grain of
A grain
sand.
of salt.
Right.
Minuscule.
Sand, salt, same thing.
Yeah.
I would love for your news channel to be the first one to actually change the narrative, because
Yeah.
the God's honest truth is that when it comes to fentanyl, and let me rephrase.
We
that.
have done a lot of
when
fentanyl
it
stories,
comes
but-
to illicit fentanyl.
Yeah, that's true.
We should never be calling it an overdose, because there is no safe dose of illicit fentanyl. So it should always be called fentanyl. It should be illicit fentanyl poisoning. because
for like a cause of death. Or
yeah,
something?
cause of death should be poisoning. It should know because
Not accidental overdose.
it's not an accident. It may be an accidental poisoning, but for it to be an overdose, there has to be a safe dose. So for fentanyl that you get from a doctor when you have a surgery, they might shoot you up. There's a safe dosage of that. There's a recommended dose by the FDA that you take this. There's no safe dose of illicit fentanyl. So every time somebody dies from fentanyl, it's always a potential of death. Always.
Right, and now they're starting to prosecute people.
Yeah, they are, which is great.
The DEA actually picked up my my son-in-law's case
Really?
2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's been a year and a half, year and 2 months. Our friend
dad.
Cooper's dad, Cooper Noriega, he was a very famous YouTube TikToker. Died in Los Angeles from fentanyl.
Yeah, because he was picked up Percocet, I believe, and
Same thing.
I know, that's crazy that it's in.
Well, and that's what's even crazier is that
it's in Adderall. Too.
Yes,
it's in
so
anything.
that's the thing that's also so concerning is. I guess maybe it's just my mind, but I would assume that it goes for the vast majority as well. So when you read a headline and you see so-and-so overdoses, right? Immediately my head goes to, oh man, poor addict or poor alcoholic or whatnot. There's so many cases where it's not like that. Like there's a girl, college student, I believe it was Stanford, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was studying for finals. And she was prescribed at her Adderall. She ran out of her prescription, was going to pick up her prescription the next day. But her best friend, which was her roommate, ended up getting some Adderall from other friends because that's what, some college. I'm not saying that you should if you're not prescribed by a doctor or don't even have ADD. But I'm just saying, sometimes kids are kids and you do things to get through certain, finals, whatnot. Anyway, so she ended up taking a Adderall from her best friend who was her roommate, and that Adderall had fentanyl, and she died. And she wasn't a addict, right. But
I guess the thought is if you're getting it from a pharmacy with the prescription that the doctor has given you. But hey, I mean, people can also overdose with taking all of their prescriptions.
Sure.
So
that's an overdose. That's actually an overdose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 300 people are dying every single day from opioids. 80% of that is fentanyl. That's a large airplane going down every single day. We have to. That's why we're out here. I'm out here making noise about that. And I make this noise because I hear a lot of our government officials on both sides talk about it.
Right.
But they do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a bipartisan issue. This has got to be an issue where they come together and they solve this problem. It's not that hard. Like
we can't even pass daylight savings.
Right.
Oh
my
God! In 2018, that Florida voted for years prior, and they still don't.
So
did Florida stop the daylight savings?
Well, they voted to do it just like we did. They voted before us, and it fizzled out. It just died. It's like, well. We all voted for it. I mean, it's crazy.
But then you have like Arizona they're not changing. They don't change at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we doing?
And neither does Hawaii. So
it takes an act of Congress.
You would literally have to move to those two states to not have to deal with it.
It is. It's bananas. How long have you been with KTLA?
Well, since 2013.
Okay.
I was with Fox News.
It's a good run.
6 years, and then I was the weekend anchor for about 10, and now I was like, guys, I can't work. I work 20 years of weekends.
Yeah.
I got to see my kids in their crucial years. Like,
sure.
It's not worth it to be reading about hit and runs for 10 hours every weekend. Yeah. So I'm actually, in a better spot now because I'm like part-time.
Okay.
Which allows me to drive down and do goat yoga with you today and be on this podcast
and pick up your kids.
So I feel like my other job is being a recovery advocate, and that's I never thought that would be my purpose. Like, 15 years ago, I was literally trying to get you to do cocaine with me, and I was I was judging anyone who
15
who
years ago
who
she would have been doing cocaine with you.
We all
yes, we would have linked up and we would have had a wild ride.
I was sober 15 years ago.
I'd have been.
It's actually, I love hearing that because for so long I was trying to live a double life. I didn't want to, once I got sober, I didn't want people to know that I worked a 12-step program. And then, you know, I was living this other life. And then now it's like, I'm totally shouting it to anybody that wants to listen, which is ironic. And that's why I think God has a sense of humor in the sense of what he ends up doors opening and what he does, because now it's something that I used to be in so much like shame and guilt for my own self. Now I don't carry that at all. If anything, it's like I want people to know that they can be sober. You don't have to pick up a drug. You don't have to pick up a drink, and you can still go and have fun.
Yeah.
We did go yoga. Like you can still have such a fulfilled life, have an amazing
fun.
marriage.
And actually enjoy
You can
it
have
though, but
more
actually enjoy it.
fun.
Not even just going. I mean, maybe the first year you're not going to really maybe enjoy
It's
it.
rough.
It's
The
rough.
first
It's
year's
rough.
The
rough.
first 2 or
For
3.
sure.
I feel like
That's going to change.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember them saying like your definition of fun will change.
Yeah.
And that was so true, because I do remember thinking I'm never gonna have fun again.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think because we just went, there were so many highs and lows, to all of a sudden be like flatlined, that
Yeah.
can be perceived by yourself as boring.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so now all I know is I want to be floating on that no drama line.
100%.
I want
No
to just
drama.
be riding through life with ease,
I know.
flowing down the river on
God.
the lazy river.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
And if anything, like if there's any sort of
blip.
situation
Yeah.
where it's like that, I immediately like correct it to get back on track. And
Yeah.
that's like approaching the person like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like I don't want to have any bad energy. Like how can we fix this? Let me apologize.
For sure.
Well, I love that you also put it out there. I mean, it's right there on the.
That's
on,
what I
on the
was-
Yeah, I
top- on
know.
the-
It
it's-
is.
It's on her bio
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
that she's sober.
I was actually a little surprised.
You,
I don't know
yeah.
why.
Well,
My initial.
I
thought
mean,
was
actually,
surprised
it's
that
so
she was
funny
open
because
about it.
how I found you was Brandon Novak. You did a little. You were on a reel, and I was like, who is this? And then I was like, and I'm reading, and I was like, oh, she's totally sober. And then I was like, oh wow, KTLA.
Yeah, I had a podcast that aired through KTLA. It was I did 27 episodes. It
Nice.
was Keeping It Friel, conversations
Keeping
on
it
recovery.
real. I
But
like
then
that.
I was kind of the thing was I was aiming for all celebrities,
yeah.
Oh,
and COVID shut the studio down where I was shooting it at. But I was also like getting really frustrated with dealing with trying to get celebrities on. Like
I
their
bet.
publicists were giving me the
Yeah.
runarounds.
Yeah.
You know, I was asking them in real life, and you know, there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
don't want to be out about about.
Well, they
being
say
sober.
yes, and then their publicist is
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that kept happening. And I was like, ugh, if I'm going to do this again, I would just do it with regular people.
Regular people are just as good. You just bring on celebrities every once in a while. Regular people have regular stories that regular people actually can relate to. I can't relate to we had Lamar Odom on. I can't relate to winning how many championships did you? 2 championships with the Los Angeles Lakers. I can't relate to being married to
Kardashian.
a Kardashian.
Right.
I can't relate to hanging out in brothels.
No. Well,
You might.
guilty. I love Europe and the Middle East.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
When your current husband, did you guys meet in like
Rims. I was
you did?
speaking.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
he just
awesome.
came up and he
He
was like,
shared and then came and thanked me afterwards. But then it was a mutual friend who kind of texted me and was like, "Hey, my buddy heard you speak the other night. Like he's in love. He wants to
Oh,
take you out,"
yeah.
and gave me like the background. And
That
I
is
was like,
cool.
okay. And at that point, like, so I had been divorced for about 3.5, 4 years when I met him, and just trying to do the sober dating thing
Sure.
in LA was challenging.
I bet.
I feel like so many people say they don't have issues.
Of course.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm not a big drinker. Then you go to their house and they have like a huge bar, like
Totally.
wine cellar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was so refreshing to be with someone who was evolved and really worked a program. And he has 22 years.
Wow.
It's been the best
That's
thing.
amazing.
I like how she said evolved.
Well, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
like
we'll
that.
do like the
That's-
40-day miracle
Yes,
together where
yeah.
you every day you write
Yeah.
down 10 things you're grateful for. We're like, you know, driving out to the mountains. It's like, want to listen to this Brene Brown workshop
Sure.
or and then we met. Oh, so I'm a huge meditator. So
Okay.
so was he. So we always meditate for 21 minutes every day. And so we do that together.
Okay. How do you do it?
How
Like,
do I meditate?
break it down for me. For 21 minutes, do you set something on your phone? Do you set just a timer and it's silence? Is it a walkthrough?
I do music.
Okay.
And so when I got divorced, that was a really vulnerable, like lonely space. And so I did a lot of self-help at year 5 of being sober. And someone invited me to Unplug Meditation. It was a studio.
Yep.
And that's how, for 2 years, I was a member there. So I would go to classes.
Love
and
Unplugged.
You've been.
I've been.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I love like the teachers give these like spiritual real talks. And also when you're meditating with other people, there's like a lot of good energy. I feel like you really feel like floaty when you walk out of there. But then after the 2 years, I was like, okay, this was like amazing training wheels. And I was obviously doing it on my own too. And then I switched from doing mantras to body scans. So for me, I put on my music. I'll listen to a guided one here and there. My mom, I got her into meditating and she's big on listening to the YouTube videos, but I just breathe through every single body part and I thank it for its function. And I thank it for not having like cancer or a known problem that like I'll thank my eyelids for not having styes or I'll thank my vocal cords for not losing my voice. And it's really weird how like once I started and then like something will hurt and I'll be like, oh, I have to remember like I need to thank my cuticles because my cuticle's infected. And I just go through and then usually I fall asleep during those.
Thank your shoulder, buddy, for
pain.
not hurting.
And do you do it in the morning or?
I'll do it whenever. I mean, like I have 4 animals, so they get me up early. So if like today they need to be let out, like I let them out at 4 a.m. But I knew I wanted to go back to bed, so I put on my noise canceling headphones, so that my husband sleeping like isn't bothered, and I will just start meditating, and I fall back asleep. But then I like to do like an awaking, one where I'm awake, and then I'll fall asleep. Like last night, I fell asleep. My husband went to the Lakers game. He came back, and I was like, "Yo, I got to get up early tomorrow morning," but I didn't meditate, and he's like, "I didn't either," and so we put on his music because I knew I was gonna fall asleep.
Nice.
That's amazing.
But it's to me, that's the number one tool. Like I feel like everyone should meditate. That changed my life so much. It made me not worry, like cut out 99.9% of all of the worrying. It's kind of slowed down time for me. Like I get everything done in the day that I need to do. Just so many health benefits. I never get sick. The only 2 times that I've been sick since 2015, and I used to be sick all the time, was COVID. And I just feel like it keeps you younger looking, it gives you better skin, like, and just keeps you from like you're just so chill all the time. You're like non-reactive. And also it puts you on like a newer conscious, like a higher conscious level. And almost like I can sense people's energy so much more than what I used to do.
Yeah.
Love that.
I love that. And that's cool because you and your husband are on the same page in the sense of
that's
like
what I was thinking.
little
What a
things.
great relationship that is. A lot of love.
Yeah, we've never had an argument.
Yeah.
We're
I
just
really felt
very
that.
laid back.
That's nice.
And you guys have been together how long now?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
Awesome.
Yeah. Married. We just had our 3-year anniversary, wedding anniversary.
Nice.
And he's such a great stepdad to
That's good.
my kids.
Yeah, it's huge. It's amazing.
And your kids, boy, girl?
Boy and a girl, 10, 11.
My son, oh my gosh, she's going to be 13 years
11, 12.
old. And
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
yeah. They're addicts with their phones. Basically, it's like I handed them a plate of crack cocaine.
I
with
know.
Oh,
an
yeah, you
iPhone,
take it away
iPad.
sometimes, man, and it is crack.
Yeah.
It is
crazy.
crack.
Or if the
Can't take it
Wi-Fi's
away.
not working.
Oh my gosh. I know. I'm so
Should just
happy.
shut it off
I know.
sometimes
Sometimes
on
we do.
purpose.
Sometimes
Just
we
shut
do.
it off.
I know. I'm glad that I'm not growing up in this generation just because obviously
Dude, we played outside.
I know. We played capture the flag. We went home as soon as the light went on. It's very different. And you're not.
I played in like those not the sewers, but you know those underground tunnels at the creek.
Oh yeah.
went through?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. All the
Totally. I would do
time.
that all the time, especially when I was at my brother's ball games and stuff. It's so interesting because I feel like no matter what, I feel like as human beings, you compare, especially at that like early age, you compare yourselves to others, right? And you're super insecure, all of the things. And then now you have this tool that is at your hands at any given moment, at any given time, and you can just scroll and see things that we all know Instagram, social media, it's a highlight reel. It's not everyone's actual lives. You're putting up things that you want people to see, and it's, you know, it's a great tool. However, if I had that at like 15, no, I would be so miserable because I did not look like any of the 15-year-olds that I have seen on social media right now. It's bananas, and it's kind of, well, it's scary because you don't know how much of an effect that's doing for.
Oh yeah, do you know we did a news story that there's kid athletes that are quitting because they're like, oh, I don't look like the people on Instagram doing that sport.
Stop.
Come
Stop.
on. Wow, I believe that. I believe that 110%. So I just have a
That's
I
rough.
want to be conscious of time.
Yeah. Oh yes, of course.
Because we're
Yep,
pushing,
yep.
we're starting to push it. So what does it mean to be an anchor? Is that
Versus a reporter.
yes?
Well, in local news or national news, primarily the anchors are at the news desk reading the headlines, and then you toss it out to the reporter in the field. And I do all of the jobs, and reporters are responsible for everything that is said and written and putting the story together. So if you see the person out in the field, they're not reading a prompter, they're not being told what to say. Maybe at the like the top level, there's like a producer with that person, but in local news, it's just me. So I mean, obviously I can't like make a story bias to my bias. Like I have to tell both sides. Like you have to send your script. Like if I even tried that, they'd be like, no, we need to.
Oh, you have
counter
to
that.
you have to send it in before you
Yes.
before it, okay.
Yeah. Because we have we have like a 2 set of eyes type situation.
Oh, okay.
Which is
So you're not, but
include.
the reporters aren't reading off of a teleprompter. Then they're free flow
If
talking.
they're in studio, they might do their intro and tag, but they'll write it.
Right. And then they have it just kind of like memorized.
But when I sit down to anchor the show, then that's already all those stories have already been selected, and the scripts are on the iPads, and so I just like flip through and read ahead. But we have guest segments, and there's always ad lib between the weather people and stuff.
Yeah, I was always wondering because, like, I mean, I feel like it would be hard to. I don't know how good I could do reading a teleprompter.
You get great.
You do get
Yeah,
great.
You get great. You get great. Yeah.
Comfortable, just like this, just like
Well, then I feel
just like this is free flowing. It's really easy
Hey,
for us.
there's still people in LA who can't read properly, but yeah, I do think a lot of people that they think it's easier than it really is. Like they're like, oh, or
No,
that's
that's exactly the opposite of how I
Correct,
see
yeah.
it.
Well,
because on top of that, you're on national, or I mean, even just if it's local news. Los Angeles is huge. It's bigger than a lot of countries, and a lot of people are watching you, and you don't want to be saying and like a lot,
yeah.
right?
yeah. Well, if you're anchoring,
You're not
it's
going to
kind
say
of reading
it.
sentence.
Yeah, but if you are out trying to remember your script,
Yeah, no, I think that there's people that just are awesome like that have photographic memories that write it down once and they can just stand there and talk and talk and talk. But I don't know if I did too many drugs or not, but I have like no memory. So when I'm out in the field, it's kind of like I do like 2 lines in, 2 lines out. If I have my migraine, I'm like 1 line in, 1 line out. Or it's like if you get to breaking news, I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Like, let me show you what's going on. And then you step out of the way and then we have our scripts on the phone.
oh, okay, yeah,
Or I write it in my notes.
you write it in your notes.
Smart.
Nice, yeah. I was
Which is challenging in the rain and also when it's like 100 degrees.
sure.
And or it's too cold. Sometimes you'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Or if
My
you,
phone, my
or if you
script's
need
on
glasses
there.
like I do and you can't read your phone unless I'd be like having to put my glasses
my
on really
gosh.
fast and reading.
Yeah. I'm 43 and my eye doctor said probably around 45 is when but it's starting.
hit me
it's
at 40.
starting to be straining on my eyes.
Hit me
and
at
I'm
46
so sad.
and it hit me at 46.
Really?
Hit my wife at 43. She's wearing glasses now. I wear glasses. I was 46. I'm 49 now. Did you?
Yeah, 46, 47.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
just
the
like
anchors
that.
do that. They'll have to, when they're in video, they'll have to, if there's breaking news and they're looking up stuff, they keep their
Yeah.
spectacles right by the by their side.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But it's fun. I love news. I love hosting. I love getting people's stories, and then I also entertainment reports. So it's fun.
Yeah,
to
for
interview
sure.
Celebrities or be on red carpets. My career, I've pretty much done it all at this point.
Yeah, you speak really well.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
like the way
I
you
hate listening-
enunciate.
I
And
hate listening to my voice.
are you gonna listen to this podcast?
I don't know.
I know. I'm the
I'm
same.
my
I
own
hate
worst
listening to my
critic.
voice.
Like even when we did the audio test, I was like, oh,
I know.
But I think that's everyone hates their
I
voice.
feel like, yeah.
Well, I watch myself, and sometimes my mouth doesn't move enough. Like you really enunciate in your mouth, and you can see the words coming out. And
So if you were deaf, I'd be a good
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Don't you agree?
Yes, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes sense as you guys.
You
Hello.
guys,
You know what's
we,
crazy too?
This
My
is-
kids are very great orators, and
Okay.
my sister's kids, they all have they sound like baby talk still, or
Oh,
they have
okay.
lisps and things.
Yeah.
and maybe it's because I always had my kids like around tons of
Probably.
people, and 3 out of 4 of their parents are on television.
100%. So they're watching you and they're watching your mouth. And so they're enunciating
Did-
and
Yeah,
mimicking.
they're good talkers.
That
Yeah.
is a question that just popped in my head. Did your kids ever like mimic you, or like pretend like they were on TV reporting when they were young?
They now hate taking pictures. They won't let me videotape them.
Wow.
It's like they're rebelling almost. But yeah, my daughter, I have video of her being like, I want to be a reporter.
That's awesome.
Maybe she.
And now
will.
I'm like, don't be a reporter. Although my son is obsessed with sports, and I feel like he would be a good sports anchor
Sure.
or hopefully sports agent. Those make more money, right?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
got
Yeah.
a guy for you.
Oh
Okay.
A
boy.
buddy of mine is a sports agent.
Really?
Yeah, his
Oh yeah. When they're older, I'm gonna be like, go shadow this person.
Yeah.
yeah, for
Go
sure.
spend the day with that person.
Yeah.
Smart.
I'm so glad though that we all got to
Do
I
the
know.
this chat.
goat yoga as
yoga.
well.
Are
Yeah.
Are you
you're-
guys gonna be playing images over?
We should. Emily, make a note. We should be putting
a side by side.
putting us literally with our goats.
And your husband. So the three. So your ex-husband, his current wife, you. You're the 3 on television, and your current husband does.
Winning Time. Well, that's it. He's a screenwriter.
Yeah.
So he
Screenwriter.
created that show.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Very, very cool.
Well,
Life is great. We're
Yeah.
blessed. I mean, it's not all rainbows. I have had a headache for 6.5 years. I would love
ooh.
to be able to solve that one day, but until
do
then,
you
I
have
just
a piercing? Do you have that piercing? Have
I
you tried that?
It's like I have a knife, kind of like a.
No. I
corkscrew.
meant to get rid of the headache. Sometimes they would have put piercing.
Oh,
in.
yes, the date.
tried everything.
I've literally like, it's kind of. I shouldn't even talk about it because I don't want people to suggest things. Because
Sorry.
every time I'm
Yeah.
like I've
You're like, I've done it.
done
a
it.
fucking
done it,
nightmare.
done it.
Have
I've
you
had my body analyzed
Yeah.
and scanned a zillion times, and my current thing is somatic tracking. Do you know what that is? It's where like if you were in a car accident and then you still have the pain 5 years later, but you do the scans and your back is healed, or nothing is showing up as wrong
Like a
in
ghost
your
pain.
body. It's so you might have had a trigger for
Oh.
it, but your brain gets the switch stays on,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
it's making a mistake.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the whole reason for pain is danger. So with somatic tracking, you're supposed to tell your brain that you're safe, you're
Yeah.
not in danger.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a couple months. No luck so far, but I do believe in it, and I always recommend it for other people.
Sure.
in
Have you heard
pain.
of Dr. Amen?
Dr. Amen?
Why don't you explain what Dr. Amen does?
He does your brain scan. So he basically is able to analyze your frontal like every part of your brain, and to see how much blood flow your brain is getting, and then from there he's able to suggest certain supplements. He doesn't believe in giving SSRIs or things of that nature. It's more of your supplements that he thinks that will help benefit certain blood flow. So I just got my brain scan. That's why he's bringing it up. I just got my brain scan 2 days ago. So
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, so
I don't
it might
know.
give
He's,
Show something.
he's an
After.
MD. He's
Yeah.
a psychiatrist.
Yeah. And
I
she
think
could-
honestly,
I'll
I
ask.
think it might be California, because had this in my early 20s for 3 years. And
California.
it went away when I moved out of California.
Wow. It could
And
be some type of weird like allergy.
Pollution or
Yeah.
something. I don't
No,
know.
it
But
could be.
that's a problem with
the-
my kids being in
For
LA.
sure.
So
The
in
food that we have in California.
6 or 7 years, I might just move somewhere else and see if it helps.
Yeah, that's actually terrible.
Well,
Try Dr. Emmett. See what's.
Yeah, I'll ask
does.
Doctor because he's coming on our podcast, and I'm gonna ask specifically for migraines. So my childhood best friend, she suffers from migraines a ton as well, and she ended up doing she'll get them occasionally, but not nearly as frequent. But she ended up they do like Botox in her entire kind of head and in her cheeks and in her mouth. I've never heard of such a thing.
I get it every 10 weeks for 6
Yeah.
years now.
Sure,
And it's,
and
yeah.
nothing.
But
Wow.
at least insurance.
That's what she
covers
said.
the-
That is what she said. That's
Covers
the
hilarious.
forehead
covers the
That is
nice,
what
covers
she's-
the nice looking
Yeah.
forehead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
But
Can't
any
complain with that.
last burning questions? Because
Oh,
she has
I
to get on the road.
Just the one thing, yes. Is there anything that you can tell our guests to that are suffering, just to give them a glimmer of hope? What would you tell somebody that's suffering, that needs to, is looking for a way out?
I think if you have any inkling inside of you that you are a better person deep down and can be a better person and know you deserve more for your life, then just take it one day at a time and just observe, listen in to meetings on Zoom. Even if you are still actively using, I think just absorbing that information, something will resonate with you. Hey, you can read my book tonight at 10, Kicking Booze and Breaking News, to see that. Because look, nobody wants to get sober. Nobody does.
Nobody.
So that's a very normal feeling. And it might just be my sponsor told me I lost the privilege, or it's just another chapter. Just look at it like that. It's a phase of your life that you don't need anymore. And my favorite sobriety quote is, "I wish I never got sober," said nobody ever, because
It's true.
you have all of us talking about how amazing it is to live life on life's terms and have the real connections and have the real experiences and become the person you were always meant to be, really.
Yeah. I love that. Where can anybody find your book?
On Amazon, and all of my socials are at Courtney Friel.
I
But
love
I'm
it.
mainly active on Instagram.